before we get started, just take a moment to hit that like button. And while you're at it, also hit that subscribe button so you're notified when we upload our next Golden Nuggets. Take care. Welcome to Golden Nuggets, episode 22, where truth and wisdom gets married and brings forth enlightenment. I want to speak to you today about development and refinement. Today, we will explore holistic health. The moment has come for internal revolution. It is time to elevate and evolve. I am Ezra, A.K.A. the voice of reason. Over and out. Welcome to another edition of Golden Nuggets, divine truths in moments of need. And today, we're going to be focusing on sharpening the saw, looking at how we can develop and adapt and sharpen our characteristics, our mindsets, our health, and our well-being. So let's get into this. So it's really important that we take time out to sharpen our saw so we can be the best version of ourselves, so we can navigate through life with victory, with success, with peace, and with hope. And so there is certain areas of our life that we should be focusing on and paying attention to, and we're going to look at those today. But before we do, I want to ask you a question. And so the question is, suppose that there were two people who were given the task of chopping down a tree within 6 hours. And the winner was going to get a great prize, you know, who got the furthest or who completely chopped down the tree by those 6 hours. And so person one starts to chop down the tree without sharpening the axe. They're excited, they're motivated, they want to get it done, they believe they can do it. And so they get straight to it and they just start hacking at that tree and making good progress. But person two takes some time to sharpen his axe and then starts to chop down the tree. So we see a different in approach, a different in mindset, a different in behaviors. And so who do you think will be more successful in achieving their goal? Would it be person one, who's committed, who's determined, who's motivated, and gets straight to it? Or would it be person two, who actually plans, thinks strategically, and works to make it be as simple and as effective as possible in achieving the goal? And these two perspectives are the different ways that we can address any area in our lives. When we look at things, when we're dealing with people, when we're trying to solve something, we can get straight in there, trying to make it happen, going off the motivation and how we feel in that moment with the limited amount of information we have. Or we can stop and we can plan, we can be strategic, we can think it through and look at the best possible plan of action. Because the key and the goal in life is to work smarter and not harder. And so whatever the tree is that you're facing in your life right now, whatever that situation is, whether it's in your workplace, whether it's in your business, whether it's in your health, whether it's in your mindset, whatever area it is, sometimes you need to stop and use the right resources to sharpen your axe, whether that's your thinking, whether that's your mindset, whether that's your attitude, whether that's your behavior, whether it's your belief, so that you can then go forth and deliver the best form, presentation, reaction, behavior, mindset, whatever it may be. You can do it to the best of your ability because you are sharp, because you are prepared, and because you have taken time out to look at the best possible strategy to address that situation or concern. Abraham Lincoln once said, "If I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I would spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe. Why? Because then he knew the work that he was doing afterwards would be much easier. And often in life, we can just jump into things with a dull axe, with a dull mindset, with a dull attitude, with a dull perspective of what's needed. And it can always end up being a tiresome and burdensome task by the end of it. But if we take time out to sharpen the axe, to sharpen the saw, we can get so much more fulfillment from life, from relationships, from situations, from circumstances, from our business, from our work, from our very beings and bodies, because it's been sharpened. And so today we're looking at sharpening the saw. And that saw is you. And that's you at a holistic level. So that when you are looking at yourself from a mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, financial state, that you can see where you are sharp. So that whatever it is that's presented before you, you are able to address and deal with it with a spirit of excellence. And so let's look at this, because there's some key areas that we want to focus on today. And so sharpening the saw means preserving and enhancing the greatest asset you have, and that's you. And so it means having a balanced program of self-renewal, being able to build yourself up again, being able to revitalize yourself, putting the measures in place to ensure that you do not reach burnout in the 4 areas of life, which are physical, social / emotional, mental, and spiritual. And so we're going to look at each of these 4 areas. But before we do, I want to give you a word of warning, because we do not want, we want to avoid ending up like the saw below. If any of these 4 key areas in our life are not addressed. And we do not want to be unkept and rusty, physically, socially, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. And so if you have been lacking in one of these, today is the day to make that change in your life. Today is the day to bring it back into focus and perspective. Today is the day that you make the change so the rest of your life can be the best of your life. So we're going to start off with the physical activity, physical exercise, being active. And one of the things that I always say to people about when we're talking about physical is that it's very important that you are doing things that actually make you feel good and which you enjoy. Otherwise, you will not keep it up. If you're doing something that feels tedious and it feels painful and stressful, you would always find an excuse and a justification to get out of doing it. So it doesn't matter if it's walking, riding a bike, gardening, dancing, whatever it may be. The gym is not for everyone. So whatever it is that you find that you like to do, that brings joy to your heart and peace to your mind, then engage in that. Do that, whether it's something you do by yourself or something you do with others. But when we do focus on the renewal of our physical, and we are paying attention to it and working on it, there is some great benefits that can happen. And the first one is that it actually lowers blood pressure and improves your heart health. So just by spending some time on a regular basis, even if it's as small as 5 minutes a day, doing things on your physical well-being, taking the stairs instead of the lift, walking, simple things that we can do can actually lower your blood pressure and improve your heart health, prevent things like stroke and heart attacks. It also improves the quality of your sleep. And sleep is fundamental for our well-being. Sleep is something that we spend 1/3 of our life doing. But sleep, and good sleep, is the precursor to health, to strength, to our muscles developing and replenishing, to having a good memory. All of these things are enhanced by sleep. And so physical exercise actually helps the body to sleep better, getting in that exercise. It also improves joint pain and stiffness because we're moving around, because we're mobile. As human beings, we were not made and meant to be sitting all the time. And so sometimes, depending on the jobs that we do, and we're sitting in this rigid position for so long, not getting up and walking around and stretching and allowing for the muscles to move, can cause joint pains and stiffness, and over time, serious problems. And so just that little bit of physical energy, getting up, moving around, just for 10, 20 seconds, doing that every hour can have benefits to your well-being. And it also maintains our muscle strength and balance. When you're doing things and it's allowing for you to move and have to do things and balance, all of that is training. All of that is good for our well-being, helping our muscles to be strong. Because as the saying says, if you don't use it, you lose it. And so it's important that we are engaging and using our muscles on a regular basis. And finally, it improves your memory and brain function for all age groups. Because as we are moving and getting the body to operate in different ways, we have what's called muscle memory. But we also are causing for neurons to fire and wire together. That actually helps to improve our memory when we are doing physical exercise. And so it's really important that you ensure you're getting that physical exercise in. And this is not about having 6 packs or having that perfect beach body, but this is about doing enough exercise to ensure your well-being, to ensure that you can be as strong and healthy, and that when you do need to do something, that it doesn't result in injury or you being totally out of breath because your body is not used to you moving around. The second area that we want to look at is the social and emotional. So the social in terms of how you connect with others, what you are doing, who you're around, the people that you have in your life. And the emotional is like that emotional currency that's developed and built up through those social networks, but also in terms of just who you are, how you think about things, and how those thoughts impact on how you feel emotionally, chemically, neurotransmitters that are being affected by the way you think. So the first thing that's really beneficial in this area is about building healthy connections and relationships. One of the most important factors for longevity of life is social connections and having good, healthy, and quality-based social connections. And so in this area, when you have, and it doesn't have to be an abundance of people, but when you have even 1, 2, or 3 people that you can connect with, that you can talk to about your problems, that are there for you when you need them, this can be a really powerful tool in helping you to maintain your focus, your health, your strength, and your well-being. But even in those moments when you feel low, they're able to bring you and build you back up. And so it's very important that you don't get so busy that you stopped connecting with people that are there for you, people that support you, people that build you up, people that are like-minded, people that you can share your vision with and will support you in terms of going further. that you can confide in when you're feeling weary or tired or fearful, and that they would instruct you and be there for you and help you to get back on track. It's also about catching your own self-judgments and harmful thoughts. You know, we can be our best friends, but we can also be our worst enemy. There is no one who will bring more judgments about you than yourself. And so it's really important that we are able to catch those self-judgments, those limiting beliefs, those, inner critics that come and judge us and harm us and say hurtful things. The rats, the reoccurring afflicted thoughts that scurry about in the subconscious part of our mind, eating away and hacking away at our self-esteem and our self-confidence. But also we have to be aware of the harmful thoughts that can be really rooted and grounded in our psyche. Because the more and the more and the more that we think those thoughts is the more that they become ingrained in our beliefs, in our identity. And those harmful thoughts are very powerful at limiting us, at causing us to doubt ourselves, at making us fearful. And so that we see fear as false evidence appearing real. And fear will destroy our dreams more than any failure could, because fear stops you from starting in the first place. And so you never get to see your true potential. You never get to trust yourself fully. And you stay stuck in your comfort zones. And then being emotionally balanced. This is key, being emotionally balanced, because this reduces stress and preserves our well-being. And so emotions is energy in motion. And that energy in motion is determined by the precursor of our thoughts. And if we have helpful and healthy thoughts, then the emotions will be things like joy and peace and happiness. But if we have negative thoughts, counterproductive thoughts, we have things like worry and anxiety and stress. And stress weakens the heart and mind over time if we continuously are exercising or operating out of that emotion. And so if we want well-being, it starts with our thoughts, because every disease in the body starts with a dis-ease in the mind. And the thoughts that we entertain, which creates those emotional currents, which we call emotions, is then played out in our bodies, and our bodies bear the brunt of it because our body keeps the score. And so it's really important that being emotionally balanced reduces stress and preserves our well-being. So your thoughts, feelings, and experiences work together to influence our self-esteem. And so what you think about yourself, what you feel about yourself, then plays out in the experiences you have. And those experiences then reinforce those thoughts. And if the experiences were counterproductive, or negative, or unfruitful, they reduce our level of self-esteem, the way we esteem ourselves, the way we see ourselves, the way we show up, the way we present ourselves, the way we speak, if we're timid or bold. And so it's really important that we are able to have that emotional intelligence, being self-aware and being able to self-regulate what is going on for us, how we feel, how we express ourselves, so that we can have high levels of self-esteem, that we can believe in ourselves, that we can trust ourselves, that believe that we are able to succeed. And then the final point is about having a positive outlook, which makes you more energized and focused. And so I want to be clear about one thing. I'm not talking about toxic positivity. There's a big difference between toxic positivity and realistic optimism. Toxic positivity is where no matter what, you're always thinking positive, even when there's times when actually you're quite justified to be worried or anxious or concerned about something. But realistic optimism is where you're able to look at things and put it into perspective and allow that to help you to say, do you know what, this is going to be difficult, but I can get through this. This is really hard, but this won't break me. And so it's about having that realistic optimism, having a positive outlook, because when we do that, it makes you more energized. If you focus on the problem all the time, your energy will be drained because you're focusing on the problem, you see more problems. But if you can focus on solutions, focusing on the way forward, focusing about where you want to get to and how you're going to get there, it makes you more energized because you find more solutions. And there is a thing known as the RAS, the reticular activating system, that we have in our brains that works very much like a GPS system. And whatever it is that we send out via our thoughts and our feelings and what we want and what we're focusing on, our RAS will lock into that. So if you keep focusing on problems, your RAS will lock into that and you will be de-energized. But if you focus on what you can do, what you want, and where you're going to, you'll be energized because your RAS will bring those things to your attention. And so it's really important that focus, because your perspective, your viewpoint, how you look at things, your frame of reference determines everything. Because we don't see things, we don't see life as it is, we see things as we are. And from your perspective, if you're focusing on the negative, things can seem very dark, very dingy, and very bleak. But if you're focusing on the positives and how you're going to get through this, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. The next point that I want to focus on is the mental, our thinking processes, what you are dwelling on. This great machine in our minds is one of the most powerful things ever created. It dwells, it thinks on things continuously. We have about 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of those are rumination. So depending on what kind of thoughts we're entertaining can be empowering or detrimental to us. And so one of the key things that we can do to keep us in the right frame of reference, to help us to be focusing on those things that we need to be focusing on, is mindfulness, being present in the moment without judgment, allowing ourselves to just process things without putting all the pressure and the judgments and the mindsets and the attitudes and the opinions and everything else on it that can make everything seem so much more heavier than what it is. Being mindful, not dwelling on the past, which has already happened and was meant to be a learning and not a prison sentence, and not being consumed of the fears of what might happen, what could happen, what possibly may occur in the future, but being present in the moment, because it's a gift. That's why we call it present. The second thing is about prevention. So how do you cultivate practical coping strategies to navigate through life? It's a given that in life, things are going to go wrong. Things we didn't plan for actually takes place. Situations and circumstances that's caught us off guard. But then also we can cultivate practical coping strategies, things that we have to help us to navigate through those difficult times, through those situations that pop up, unexpected. And that is, how do you think about things? What is your coping mechanisms? What breathing exercises do you use? Do you engage in mindfulness? Who do you talk to? How do you ground yourself again when you feel a bit edgy? Do you listen to music to help you to calm down? Do you exercise? Do you go for a run? Do you meditate? Do you pray? What is your coping strategies? What helps you? Do you have a coach? Do you have a mentor? Do you have a therapist? What do you do? What is your coping strategies? Do you journal? How are you ensuring that you can prevent or minimize the impact of things that come up in your life? It's time to start thinking about that if you don't have strategies already. And then the next point is coaching. So for some people, you know, they might find it difficult to do it by themselves. And so getting a coach can be really powerful, whether it's for career, whether it's for life, a life coach, whether it's around, you know, changes that you want to make, whether it's around your mindset. They can be very good in shifting your mindset by asking powerful questions, by helping to draw out those things that are already within you, but may be buried underneath all of the other stuff that's going on. If you want to overcome procrastination, if you want to increase your self-worth, all of these things, a coach can help you to achieve. And the next one is about gratitude. Gratitude, developing an attitude of gratitude. Why? Because it can help you to shift your focus. It can improve your well-being. It can help you to see things from a different view and vantage point. It allows you to appreciate the things you have in your life and the people you have in your life. It helps you to take a step back, and it limits the amount of taking things for granted, because we can so easily take things for granted once we've had it for a period of time, once we've had that person in our life for a bit of time. And so having that attitude of gratitude, being thankful and asking yourself, what would life be like if I didn't have that person in my life, if I didn't have those things in my life? These are little things that make a big difference. And then the final one for mental is journaling. This is a really powerful tool that you can use to win back control of your mind, keeping track of your thoughts, your actions, and your motivations. If you're feeling anxious before you're going to sleep, if you journal and write those things down, it's a cathartic process that helps to release all of that energy and all of that mind chatter that was going on. Journaling can be a powerful way to help you to recognize what's going on for you in terms of your thoughts. If you have stinking thinking, if you're filled with fear or anxiety, you can start to write down and journal. And over time, you can start to look at the patterns and recognize what was the precursor that triggered you. Is it people? Is it places? Is it environments? And so it's really, again, another powerful tool that you can use to sharpen the saw of your mental thinking and capacity. The final one that we want to look at today is spiritual. So that higher sense of purpose within you. Looking at what fuels you, what drives you, what factors determine the decisions you make, the spiritual. And this part is really important. Your sense of purpose, your sense of purpose, or resolve or determination. Why do you do what you do? Why do you work where you work? Why do you focus on what you focus? What's your purpose in life? What's your purpose in your relationship? What's your purpose in your workplace? What's your purpose in your business? What's your purpose around your well-being? What is it that drives you, that moves you? There has to be a spiritual sense behind what you're doing. And that purpose helps you to keep focus. And then it's about values. So values are the qualities that you bring to your ongoing behavior. The values is what drives you, which pushes you to go on and do certain things in spite of the pain that you may experience. Your values are the core part of you that should be present and should shine forth in any situation, in any circumstance that you face. And then knowing your why. What's your why? Why do you get up? Why are you passionate about things? What is your why? You need to know it because it gives life and it gives your life clarity and it helps you to stay focused because he or she who knows their why can endure anyhow. And so it's so important to know your why. What drives you? Why do you do what you do? What is the purpose behind it? Because your purpose, your values, and your why, they work together. And when they're connected and united, you become unstoppable. The next point is about reflection. Reflection. One of the key tools for your development, for your improvement, and for your self-mastery is reflection. Because reflection requires self-awareness. You need to, first of all, be aware of who you are, why you do the things you do, what was in your mind and your heart when you did or said certain things. Self-awareness, to be able to recognize when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you're upset, when you're angry, when it's time to take a break, when it's time to get off your phone. Self-awareness. And then self-understanding. Understanding you, understanding why you do the things you do, understand why you work the way you do, understanding why you pay attention to certain things and don't pay attention to others. Self-understanding. Knowing your strengths, but also your areas of development. Knowing what you love to do and what you loathe to do, but you know why you need to do it. Self-understanding. And then finally, self-love. The balancing and the kind of foundation of these three areas. Because self-love makes you recognize that even when you fail, even when you make a mistake, even where you need to develop, you are still needing of love and deserving of love. And having self-awareness to recognize when you make a mistake, when you are being judgmental, when you do fall short of things, it makes you no less of an individual. You still have self-love. You love yourself as you would love anyone else who made a mistake. And so reflection is really key. Being able to recognize, being able to make recommendations, and being able to repair those things, whether it's within yourself or in your relationship or in your situation. Operating out of self-love, having self-understanding, and operating out of self-awareness. And then the last and the final bit is self-mastery. And self-mastery comes through time, through effort, through repetition, through consistency, and through discipline. And so a developed sense of who you are. What makes you you? What ticks you? What drives you? What hinders you? But having a developed sense of who you are. And what you can do and where you are going. So knowing what your strengths are, knowing what your areas of development are, knowing what you can do, knowing what you're working towards being able to do, and where you are going. And where you're going is your purpose. Where you are going is your why. Where you are going is your values. Because those three areas help you to make decisions, to drive your decisions, to influence your decisions. And so when someone's asking you to do things that don't line up with where you're going, you can boldly say no. When people are trying to influence to do things that's not your vision, that's not your calling, that's not your purpose, even though it may have some benefits, you can say no because you know where you're going. It's your vision. And so it's really important that we are operating out of these four areas and sharpening the saw consistently in all four of these areas: physical, social and emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. And when these 4 areas are developed and worked on and refined, you will see your life blossom. You will see that you are unstoppable, and you will see that you will achieve in successful ways that you could never have imagined. So I encourage you to engage in sharpening your saw, so that whenever you come to chop down that tree in your life, whatever that tree may be, because you have spent those 6 hours symbolically sharpening the saw, you will have a much more successful and positive chance of chopping down that tree. And so, as we close, I want to leave you with this quote, which says, we must never be too busy to take time to sharpen the saw. So for you today, I have a question for you to answer and write down today. What is it that you need to take time out to sharpen today? What of the 4 areas are you going to make a priority? You may need to work in more than one area, but start somewhere and start today. What area are you going to work on to develop yourself, to be the greatest version of yourself, and so that your saw may be sharpened? And so I hope you found this useful. As always, I have many videos on my YouTube channel dedicated to inspiring and motivating you. So have a look at some more of them. Take care. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope you found this video to be thought-provoking. Leave a comment below and let me know one nugget that you have taken from this message today. And share this video with your loved ones and your friends who you know would benefit from hearing these gems. And remember to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll be notified when we upload our next video. So stay blessed, remain grateful, and as always, manifest your greatness.